Okay, so Gigamon fairly recently published your CISO Insights Recalibrating Risk in the Age of AI report, and I think they highlight sort of high-level finding is the need for more data visibility and quality. So yeah, just give us a bit of background to the sort of how the report came about and those findings.
Yeah, fine, no problem. We referred to it as the sort of annual hybrid cloud security report, and this year, 2025, was the third year that we've done the exercise, which largely involves interviewing around about 1,000. It was just over 1,000, 1,066, I think, senior IT leaders, mainly centered around security, networking security, CIO, and sort of some senior architects to try and get their perspectives on, what's keeping them awake at night in terms of security, what are their biggest challenges, where are their biggest concerns, and to try and get some insights as to some of the things that they're either doing, not doing, or would like to do, all things being equal, to try and improve their security posture and try and get more night's sleep. And it's fair to say that this year's survey that we did was very much more focused around not just public cloud, but also around AI in terms of do you feel you're getting value from it? Can you use it? Are you using it? Is it secure to use? Do you know where you're using it? And what do you see as both the opportunities and the big threats? And what we got back was quite interesting in that an interesting paradox emerged. I mean, so firstly, that there's universal agreement from the people that responded that AI is massively increasing the breadth and depth of the attack surface, not least of which because wide-scale use of AI in many organizations, they reported it was almost doubling their network traffic, the volumes of traffic that they were transporting around their networks, which obviously that means more data, more things to hide in, more risks, more threats. A number of them also identified that although they wanted to use AI technology and capability, their route to doing that would be because of sort of scale and economics and efficiency and not wanting to have large volumes of on-prem data centers, was to use public cloud as a means to spin up AI-based environments. But yet, paradoxically, at the same time, they were saying, look, we're still very concerned about the level of security that public cloud environments give us. And so, whilst they want to do more in public cloud with AI, the security issue, the security risks are the things that are holding them back. And as ever with this report, each year, effectively, we were told that breaches again are on the increase. Last year to this year, it's about a 17% increase, and 55% of the respondents said at some level, whether it was a minor breach or a major breach, they'd experienced a breach since we did the survey last year, which is a concern. A lot of those being focused around private, rather public cloud environments. So it's clear that they are telling us they're having to make significant compromises that they don't really want to make, and those compromises, to some extent, were a little bit eye-opening for us.
Okay, and in terms of the sort of landscape you discovered, if I understood correctly, the report says that folks require, because I expect you said the almost a doubling of was it traffic or data getting transferred, that they need deeper insights. And I think the suggestion is that that sort of packet data plus metadata gives the best overall visibility. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. So let's look through the lens of those compromises first. Is the basic compromises they said they were making, that they need visibility, network visibility, deep observability, packet level intelligence to help them try and remove that compromise, were firstly, they were struggling today to get comprehensive visibility everywhere into their environments. And that's not just private cloud, it's public cloud, it's traffic that's moving laterally in their organization, east-west traffic. And also a lot of them cited that OT environments, again, not your traditional public cloud environment, OT environments were again where they were flying a little bit blind. So they wanted to get that visibility. A lot of them also expressed concerns that even if they got visibility in some places, the security tools that they'd invested in weren't that well integrated. They were not necessarily able to use the same tool across all the different platforms on-prem, public cloud, and private cloud. And they also felt that some of their security tools perhaps weren't equipped with all the relevant information that they needed to make that fully informed decision. And then so when we explored information that what was missing, again, we get back to the visibility, the deep observability, the intelligence around that network traffic, because many of them are now starting to realize, and thankfully it's not too late for most of them, that you can use tools that graze on metrics, events, and logs and traces, and you'll get most of the information you need. But to be honest, increasingly network traffic is becoming an essential characteristic, a source of data to be able to both get access to and then also to be able to interpret and to read and to act on. And so we use the analogy of, not having network visibility is a bit like watching a 3-hour Hollywood blockbuster without the sound on, right? You can get a general sense as to what's happening. You might know what the basic plot line might be, but you don't get that finer detail. You don't get that finer level of granularity. And if you're not getting that visibility everywhere, then that's a problem. And we're starting to see that, which is one of the reasons we think attacks are still on the increase, is because people aren't taking network intelligence and metadata differently. But back to your point though about metadata, is that's the piece that really helps organizations who say, okay, I've got network visibility everywhere, but I just shared with you that the use of AI is doubling network traffic volumes, network speeds are increasing, network throughputs are increasing, application workloads are increasing. It's all very well saying, give me network visibility, but I can't possibly process and make sense and gain intelligence and insight from this massive volume of network traffic. So that's where we believe, a metadata approach that has the ability to gather and to concentrate all the network traffic from everywhere, wherever it moves in an organization, to be able to act on that, to filter and refine and discern the specific attributes and capabilities, the attributes and content within particular types of traffic by metadata extraction and filtering, and then direct that data, that metadata, those attributes, that content to the relevant tool to make sense of those particular network packet attributes. And that tool might be a SIM tool, it might be an NDR tool, it might be an application performance tool, whatever that will be. So metadata for us is a way of managing the huge volume of data, but without sacrificing or prejudicing the fidelity of the information. It's not a sample, it's not a subset, it's not 1 in 3, it's not a round robin, well, we'll take this 1 minute, this the next. It's just the facts from all the data given to the tools to make those decisions. And that's why we think, metadata as network volumes increase are really important.
I guess also, I mean, you say, the network volume's increasing significantly. Is it still possible to have, because I think real-time information's pretty important to folks. Is it still possible to provide real-time, for example, threat monitoring and visibility, bearing in mind this huge increase in traffic, or is that becoming, an increasing challenge for organizations?
I think, I mean, again, it comes back to that definition of real time. Real time is one of those things. It's a bit like, the words technical or abstract. It means different things to different people. I mean, if you come from a proper real-time systems programming background, like in defense or weapon systems, real time's real time, right? But typically in an IT security context, real time might be 2 or 3 second delay before you see it. I do think in most cases in IT focused networks that's still possible. I don't think that's an aspiration or a dream. I think with metadata that is possible, with tools that are well integrated, with processes that are well aligned, with the visibility that you need, and actually understanding also a little bit about what you're looking for, that is still possible. I think that becomes a bit more challenging though in some of the networks that are more high volume and high intensity, some of the big service providers, some of the big mobile networks, some of the big intensive defense networks, and then it may not always be able to be that sort of near real time. But there's one thing for certain, without metadata being part of that solution and an integrated set of best in class tools, getting anywhere near real time is an impossibility, because it'll take you a huge amount of time to wade through that information, without refining it and defining it using some sort of metadata application intelligence.
Okay, and you mentioned AI, and I guess most folks are seeing it as a sort of double-edged sword. The bad actors are obviously able to leverage it to sort of create and mount attacks, I guess, much more easily than previously and much more sort of convincingly, I suppose. But I guess AI is also there for the defenders. So do you have any thoughts, or did the report give you any idea as to whether people are, thinking AI is overall it's bringing up sort of benefit to them, or is it a
Yeah.
negative? Just your thoughts as to the good and bad uses of AI,
Yeah.
if you like, and what people are finding.
So I think unanimously people either want to think of AI or do think and are thinking of AI as a force for good, right? So very few, if any, people were saying we don't want it, we don't need it, we fear it, it's a bigger risk or a problem to us, and it's not worth the hassle, right? Every organisation we spoke to gave us a sense of optimism in terms of, look, we know AI is fueling and increasing both the volume of the effectiveness and the impact of a lot of the threats that we see. I'll come on to that in a minute. But fundamentally, as a business, we want to be able to use it. We do see the benefit in using it, even though for some of those organizations today that are slightly more cautious, their route to that is, well, until we could get better control of it and better visibility of where it is being used and where it isn't, then we're going to politely decline the ability for our people to use it until such time that we can understand how we manage it and understand how we govern it. Most organizations are in that middle ground between everything's on and no one's looking at it, or got no governance and no policies, and those that are, they see it as a force for good, but they're just too terrified to even put a toe in the water at this particular stage. And so most organisations are using it to some extent, but all organisations would massively benefit from having the full visibility of knowing that if they are using it or when they do use it, which AI technologies are being used, where they're being used, and what information is being exchanged and interchanged with those AI tools. So many organizations that say, well, you can use ChatGPT and you can use Gemini, but be careful. Here are some guidelines and some governance about what you upload and what you don't. They may not have full visibility of all the different AI solutions, some of which they'll know about, some of which they won't, that are in use within their environment. And so only when you have that network visibility and the ability using something like Gigamon to automatically identify and alert the use of right now up to about 17 different mainstream AI tools, identify which user, which IP address, where it came from, what's been exchanged with those tools, can organizations properly understand where they're using it, where they didn't think they were, and also how they can constantly evolve and optimize their governance processes for better use of it. So they can't manage governance if they don't know to what extent AI is being used or not, by which groups and which functions. And so what we're about is giving those IT leaders the solutions and the capabilities to firstly find out where AI is in use within their environment and to be able to help them to lock that down where they need to, or put technologies around that to control what information is exchanged with those AI tools. Also, we want to help organizations using Gigamon to benefit from AI embedded within our technology to help get better at managing, creating, configuring, and administering Gigamon environments using AI built into our capability. That's the third element of it, and we have something called GigaView FM Copilot to do that, which is the sort of the copilot in the seat, the autopilot, if you will, in some cases, for teams building and maintaining Gigamon environments. And then where we're going as an organization, we should be there by the end of this year or very early next, and this gets back to that point about the huge volume of network information, network visibility, the fact that metadata filters and refines that down to a manageable degree or a more manageable degree, is that even with metadata, when you've done that and you've surfaced that information through, for example, a SIM tool in a dashboard fed with network intelligence, you then still have a large volume of information, and the type of data you see, you really need to be a network specialist to be able to understand and interpret what that data means or know what you're looking for. And so that third pillar of our capability is something that we will call Gigamon Insights, which helps organizations through a simple interface, which is expressed through English language, to be able to interrogate the stream of telemetry and the repository of network traffic that could either be captured in a data lake for a tool like Splunk or Elastic or Dynatrace, to integrate that with our prompt engine with inside Gigamon, be able to then integrate that again with the customer's LLM and ask intelligent questions about, for example, where do you see the major threats to security in my network today? A simple English question, but expressed, pulling together the power of the customer LLM, the Gigamon Network Insights capability, and the wealth of information that Gigamon has fed with metadata into an AI data lake or repository from an Elastic or a Splunk or a Sentinel, bringing that together using, agentic AI, MCP interfaces, to then form a list of, okay, you asked the question, these are the steps I went through to identify how to decompose that question and the actions that I've run. These are the risks that I see, and these are where the risks are, and these are the remedial steps that I believe you should take to address those risks based upon me seeing that information in those millions or potentially billions of records within your metadata repository. So it helps someone make rapid meaning and sense of their network telemetry without having to spend hours pouring through logs and dashboards of graphs and understand what that data means, if that makes sense. And that's where we're going as an organization, as far as AI is concerned.
Yeah, and I guess I think the report flags up that CISOs are in particular nervous about the combination of public cloud, AI, and the security around that. And I think to the point you've sort of explained there, as a result, they are really looking for visibility across all data in motion. So, yeah, just your thoughts as to is that public cloud AI security combination the main worry, or there are others, and therefore how important is it to have that visibility across all the data in motion?
Yeah, I think well, I mean, firstly, whether it's for AI workloads or not, I think organizations now fully appreciate that if they don't have solutions to give them an integrated network visibility solution across all those cloud environments, they're going to be at a disadvantage. And typically that disadvantage means not being confident enough to exploit public cloud environments as much as they could, because they're always constrained by the fact that they don't have the visibility. If you put the visibility platform in place and you've got the right visibility across those environments, and you've got the right tooling on cloud and on-prem with that consistent network visibility, then you're in a much better position to be able to ensure that your hybrid cloud security, your hybrid multi-cloud security, from a visibility perspective, where it needs to be. And then at that point, you can then start to be confident enough to put your private AI solutions up in those public cloud environments. But I certainly, as an organization, would not be doing that today without making sure that they've got that comprehensive visibility layer in place as a starting point. And one of the other reasons for that is increasingly the leaders that we interviewed are reporting that they are seeing their own LLMs as increasingly being the target of attacks. And when you think about what that private LLM is, there's no wonder that's the case, because if an attacker does manage to gain access to that, to be able to exfiltrate either all or part of that model, or to even interrogate that model, that's that organization's entire DNA. It's their business, it's their knowledge, it's their craft. And from an IP exfiltration point of view, that's a lot more valuable to particularly a nation state attacker than just landing on someone's payroll file as an Excel spreadsheet, if you see what I mean. So, but again, we would encourage organizations to have robust network visibility in place, an integrated set of tools across their hybrid cloud estate, before they're able to be bold enough to trust public cloud environments with AI-based solutions, as far as that goes.
Yeah, and I think just to pick up on that last point, because I know the report also highlighted that CISOs see the establishing of large language model guardrails as important. So is that more than what you described there, or is that pretty much it, or are there other things they're looking to do to I guess to secure the large language models?
Yeah, I think there. I mean, when you talk about guardrails for AI and LLM, I think there's two sets of, well, probably multiple sets of guardrails. There's the security set of guardrails in terms of the things that you do or don't do, and the things that you make sure you've got in place to ensure the security envelope around your AI solution is acceptable. So that's the security guardrails. But then there's also the legal compliance, the process guardrails about how and what you use AI for, as to whether or not you would use an AI application for certain business functions or not, or certain interactions with customers or not. And that's more specific to the customer's sort of business process, and also the guardrails about to what extent you want to know that individuals in your organization, to do the jobs that they're doing for you and the deliverables that they're delivering back, that they're using AI in a responsible way, firstly, so they're not uploading or downloading information from AI that's presenting either a security, a compliance, or an IP leakage risk, but also that they're genuinely doing the jobs they should be and using their human brain to do that work, and the value, creating the value of themselves, rather than just outsourcing, that report or that deck to AI to do it, and then 5 minutes later they deliver that as their work. It's useful to be able to see exactly who's using AI for what, and that's why you need that elementary network level visibility to manage the guardrails and the governance, both at the security level, but also about the functional business level as well.
And just one more thing around AI, which clearly is the big topic, I guess, at the moment. I think the report suggests that AI tools are being used to enhance security, which I think we touched on already, but also to, I don't know, I use the words cover up skills shortages, but or to, I don't know how you explain it in a positive. I assume it's a positive thing, or is it a negative thing that they can't get the right people, therefore they're using AI, or is it a good thing that they're using AI if they haven't got the right skills? So.
I think generally, and again, this gets back to guardrails. Generally, it's a good thing that technologies are enabling them, particularly in a market where the demand for security skills is extremely high, and teams that are in place within organisations are getting extremely stretched. So using AI responsively in ways in which perhaps less skilled people can do more skilled jobs by complementing what they know with what AI knows to deliver the same outcome as somebody who might be twice the price, assuming you could find the person on the market anyway to do that job, is actually a good thing. I think there's a fine line though between that individual has to have enough skill and enough capability to understand that when they're using AI to basically supplement their skill level and make them effectively more capable, that they do have enough of that basic knowledge to be able to interpret the things that AI may or may not come back with that might be correct or not. And there's an element, I mean, obviously we know AI engines can sometimes hallucinate, they're not always right. And so having enough to be able to question what AI might come back with, rather than just being a very, very junior basic, IT graduate that's basically put in charge of a sim team and basically thinks he can run it by using his friend AI and just do what it tells him to do. That's the other end of the spectrum. But if you think about what we spoke of earlier with Gigamon baking AI into our management and configuration interface, that specifically helps organizations manage, administer, get best practices for Gigamon environments and optimize those environments by getting the help and assistance of AI integrated with their own tool set, our own Copilot capability, in the same way that in order to uh, interrogate the myriad of traffic and packets, some of it metadata based, some of it raw traffic, um, to mitigate the risk of real deep technical networking nerds or geeks to get that information. Obviously, Gigamon Insights will provide an AI layer to enable someone that perhaps might be less in-depth skill but knows enough about network and security to be able to ask the right questions and to be able to meaningfully apply the recommendations that Gigamon Insights comes back with. So that's all going to help organizations reduce the stress levels that CISO and CISO teams have got because they can't get their skills in the outside market. And the other thing is and I don't mean to be flippant in saying this, if they carry on looking for skills that aren't there, or trying to develop skills that will take 3 or 4 years to develop when they've got today's problem, neither of those is going to work for them. So as long as they've got the right guardrails in place, what have they got to lose to some extent in using AI a little bit more creatively to supplement and to support and to underpin their existing teams and staff in doing that? Um, I do think, though, a big role that companies do have to take, though, particularly with insider threats and end user activated threats, is to constantly inform their user communities on the ways in which attackers are using AI technology to massively increase the credibility and of the attack that they're perpetrating by using AI to give unique context that makes it very, very difficult for many people not to see that that's an AI based threat that's managed to personalize or fine tune an attack to something that has context that makes it look believable, for example. So AI recorded voicemails from individuals purporting to be people who they aren't, or video copies of conference calls where someone that is senior that's recognisable has said, "I'd like you to do this, not that," when actually that's just an AI deepfake, for example. Helping user communities realise that they have to challenge and constantly challenge, and if there's anything that they're unsure of, even though they think that might come from a trusted source, if they're concerned, then they need to challenge it, because there are cases where organisations have lost large amounts of money because people have been scammed using, smishing or advanced, AI-based phishing activities using, deep fake voices or videos to fool them into doing very silly things.
Okay, so I mean to sort of summarize, it sounds like CISOs they want deep observability to give them, I guess, the best possible chance of managing the situations that we've been discussing, but that can only go so far. And to your sort of last point, there still needs to be that sort of human to human sort of warning that, as you say, AI, the emails you get now, they're actually spelled correctly. They sound like English as opposed to, sort of not very well written English. So people need to be on their mettle even more. So yeah, if you can, how much can deep observability do, and how much do we still have to make sure or try to make sure that the
Yeah,
humans involved are as well educated as is possible?
yeah. I mean, I think absolutely you have to do both, but if you'll never mitigate the risk of somebody in the user community doing something stupid or being fooled into doing something that after the fact, hindsight looks great, thing, oh, why did they do that? It was really stupid. But to be there at the same time, you need to understand why they made the mistake. But one thing's for certain, if you haven't got that additional layer of deep, intimate visibility of what happened in the network when that happened, when it happened, where that link that got clicked through took you to in terms of a server inside the environment, and the visibility that identified through lateral movement that there's an irregular pattern of traffic moving as a result of him clicking that link from that server to that server, and that is actually quite an unusual path to traverse, and that needs to be flagged. That deep observability, that network visibility layer, is an essential capability to have in place, because you'll never protect against stupid users if you don't have it, right? At least with having it in place, you'll have a much better chance of identifying and isolating a threat, particularly one that through clicking a link through an AI initiated attack manages to gain access to, a easy to access, low profile server within an environment, and then allowing that attacker to sit there for potentially several hours, days, weeks, or even months, gradually just having a little poke around, trying to look where they can move to laterally in their organization. And you will not capture that unless, firstly, you've got that network level visibility, and particularly if they're using encrypted mechanisms to obfuscate what they're doing, a mechanism within that deep observability regime to get access to traffic in the clear. So through some form of decryption, be that SSL decryption or some of the things that we do today in cloud environments using technology called pre-encryption, for example. Because having the visibility of encrypted traffic is great, but if you can't see into it, then how do you know there's not a threat in there in the first place? And that's something that we want to go that extra layer, which is why we use the word deep rather than just observability.
Yeah, and I think I asked it earlier, but I'll just ask again to finish off. do you think on balance that AI is a reason to be optimistic for folks when it comes to cybersecurity, or do you worry that because it makes it so much easier, cost efficient, etc., for the bad actors, that it could sort of encourage a sort of whole storm of a whole new level of attacks that people will find difficult to deal with, or because AI can also obviously respond in certain ways? Just your thoughts as to where the balance lies, if indeed it does.
I mean, there are two things. Well, firstly, I am an optimist generally, even though sometimes I wake up and think I'm not, but I am an optimist. I can't. I'm not a mind reader or a future teller, but I still believe that with the right tools and technologies in place, the right levels of insight and visibility in terms of everything that you do in your environment, it's got to be possible that the benefits of AI will start to massively overtake the risks of using it. And I think for many organizations today, if you said to them, because they're sufficiently already down their journey, it's a bit like someone basically fired has not yet might have not yet fired the starting gun. But there are some very big organisations that are halfway down that 100-meter track at the moment, right? And if you ask them to turn around and come back and say, no, 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 you got to come back and throw AI away. You can't. You imagine it never existed. You can't use it again because it's too much of a risk. I think you get short shrift because there are so many things that we do today in our everyday lives that just wouldn't be as they are without AI adding capability to them. And it's very easy. That's why we look in BBC News every morning. You see lots of news and most of it bad. But it's very easy to think that the world's full of bad news. But I
Mhm.
do think on the basis of it, there's a lot more good to be gained from AI. And yes, there are more risks. There are more ways in which organisations can be penetrated using AI. But I think the balance will always be on the positive. One thing's for sure, though, it won't be if organisations don't get real and get the visibility they need in place.
Okay, it's been fantastic to chat, and thank you so much for sharing so many great insights into what is going on in what's obviously a fast-moving, complex world. So, Mark, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome, Phil. Thank you.